Welcome to the Ephesoft Introduction to Smart Capture, our solution for the classification and extraction of critical information from your unstructured data. Unstructured data has become a massive and widespread issue for companies of all sizes, across all industries. Think of structured data as data that's well described and well formatted in a system, like a database or maybe a spreadsheet. The data has labels, it's well organized, and generally easy to manipulate and process. Unfortunately, 80% of content generated today doesn't fall into that format. It's unstructured. This unstructured data is everything else. It comes in forms like paper, emails, attachments, PDFs, and faxes. You know there's critical data on these documents, but you have to classify it and extract it before you can process it. The amount of data is overwhelming and it comes in many forms. For example, a hospital admissions form, an invoice, job application, mortgage loan, anything that really comes on paper, or electronic documents. Traditionally, before document imaging, manual classification and extraction was the only way to get this information to the organization, and the documents had to have a human type the key values into the line of business system, like an accounting system or a CRM. Workers would need to understand the documents. Errors would often occur in organizing, sharing, and entering this data, and if your organization got busier, your processes could easily experience backlogs and delays in running your business. With automation, this can all be improved. With Ephesoft Smart Capture, we can enable processing data from any source, in any format. You can ingest it either through high-volume production systems or our mobile products. We'll go into the specifics on how this process works in greater detail a little later in the presentation. We work with top companies across all industries, helping them capture the many complex sources of unstructured data generated by their businesses, clients, and business partners. Think of it this way. If you see a lot of filing cabinets and paper in your organization, you can probably benefit from automating these processes. And we're delivering measurable value to our customers. With the mortgage lending market, we reduce closing time, errors, and labor costs. In government, we help the public sector move the paperwork along faster, more efficiently, and therefore generating better customer service. And in insurance, we can shorten the processing time for claims and reduce errors, leading to a faster ROI on the technology investment. Ephesoft offers a solution that learns from experience. It sounds like a sci-fi movie premise, but Ephesoft Smart Capture technology is real. It offers supervised learning, so users can quickly respond to the evolving document reading challenges via the software's verification interface. In the meantime, the software itself continues to get smarter. It recognizes, sorts, and extracts data from unstructured documents, even in formats it's never seen before. That's because intelligent capture focuses on reading the document content, extracting, interpreting its data, while simultaneously validating it faster than any employee. Now consider the fact, immediately after installation, Ephesoft Smart Capture technology can do all that while routinely achieving 90% classification with only a few sample documents. It pulls key information directly from paper and electronic files faster and more accurately than other technologies, and it's been engineered to identify and make sense of a wide variety of documents, regardless of their size, use of symbols, language, formatting, or image quality. The Smart Capture process first inputs content from a variety of sources, including emails, watch folders, network copiers, scanners, both local and enterprise, low and high volume, input from fax servers, and even integration into other line of business systems, like ECM, CRM, or ERP systems. The system then automatically analyzes the inputted content and classifies and extracts the desired values. Once validated, the data is released into your mission-critical line of business systems. Classifying documents takes very little software training. In many cases, only as little as a couple of the same document types are required as samples for our system to learn from. We then show the software, by example, the key values you wish to extract from these documents. Rules are applied to increase the accuracy of the data, and database lookups can be enabled to validate and even append data without missing information. Once these rules are set up, you feed the system and the automation runs in a background process. The advantage of auto-classification may not be important if you're only capturing data from a single document type, say like a tax form. But imagine if you're processing a mortgage package with dozens, if not hundreds of document types, each with unique fields for extraction. Traditionally, manual sorting of these files would be needed to prepare for data entry. This is very time-consuming and error-prone. Other vendors have relied on separator sheets to identify each type of document, like a cover sheet on a fax that tells the recipient where it goes. This is costly and inefficient. Smart Capture eliminates these pre-separation requirements. Now with document process automation, the only manual requirements of the user are to 1. Feed the system documents from any source, like a scanner, copier, email, or even a mobile device like a phone camera. The image processing, classification, and extraction runs automatically. Then only if errors or exceptions occur, the operator becomes involved, either reviewing the data that has become questionable. In the case the data wasn't found on the page, the document is then presented to the user for manual data entry. Once this process is complete, the information is delivered to the repository of choice. Smart Capture leverages web APIs, or application programming interfaces. This allows our software to talk to other applications. This communication can run in the background process between the applications, providing once again full automation at a speed far exceeding that capable by humans. Imagine dropping a PDF into Salesforce.com and the document is automatically extracted, populated into the system, with a workflow kicking off to process the file, all with little or no human interaction. Ephesoft takes a more modern approach to document capture, allowing you to keep what works, embedding advanced document capture and content extraction within your systems of record. As you add capabilities, again whether on-premise or in the cloud, Ephesoft can adapt to your environment. With our open standards and very flexible APIs, we can talk to practically any device, storage repository, and enterprise content management system. In quick review, the documents, when first entered into the solution, are identified and organized. Smart Capture uses hybrid extraction scheme to both learn and process documents. Learn by example for rapid setup on key fields. You point to examples and the software learns. You can use configurable locators for other fields, or use templates for fixed forms. You can use rules for complex free-form documents. There's automatic table extraction for complex multi-line type documents, such as an invoice or proof of delivery shipment receipt. With multi-language OCR and ICR, most European languages can be recognized and identified. Multi-engine OCR and ICR voting algorithms determine the best potential value from an image, and 1 and 2D barcode recognition can also be used to look up data from a form or reference an external database. If missing data is required, you can even use fuzzy logic to query another database to find required fields. For example, our software could find the company name on an invoice and then query the accounting system for the vendor ID. There's no longer a need to go back and look up additional data after the capture process. It's all automated, accurately, and fast. In the case of an invoice, you're never sure how many lines of orders you'll get. Our software will not only find those line items, but it can run calculations to validate the data. For example, it could multiply the quantity times the price to make sure our extracted line item matches the right amount. Almost every mid to large size organization today utilizes MFP devices for copying, but are they taking advantage of the scanning and capture capabilities of these devices? With an MFP or copy or capture, you can enable your whole organization to be part of the document onboarding process. Simply enable the copier to send to folder or email, and your users can now scan documents and send them directly into a workflow. Log into the MFP and choose your personal automation process. The documents are now scanned, classified, and data extracted. By the time they return to their desk, an email notification is waiting for them to tell them the documents were captured, data extracted, and the confidence of the extraction met the levels set for the document. Upon approval or review, the documents are passed on through workflow to their next destination. Very little training is required. You already own the hardware, and now you can get everyone to capture information into your processes faster, cheaper, and more efficiently. The same goes for a large batch of documents. This could be a whole mortgage package. This process typically would be delayed while it was waiting to ship back to the HQ for scanning or data entry. Now your users again log into the system, but this time you scan a batch of files and the same fast, efficient, and accurate document classification and data extraction occurs. Now dozens, if not hundreds of pages can be processed in very little time. But this time numerous files are addressed, and they are off to the HQ in seconds, not hours, days, or even weeks. Consider all the touch points of traditional paper processing. In the past, you would make a copy for the branch and one for the HQ. You would ship off the docs to the HQ. That takes time, money, and resources. And then the HQ would have to be taking that data or documents to the data entry processing room, where they are now manually handled. All these steps are labor-intensive, error-prone, and susceptible to loss or mishandling of these critical files. With the MFP capture, click it and forget it. Your valuable information is in process seconds from the moment it's scanned at the branch office location. Today, nearly everyone has a smartphone with a camera capable of high-quality document capture. Why not use this device to onboard transactional content? Think of this content like a single transaction, or just a few pages of information. Maybe an insurance claim, or a trailing document for a loan application, or personal expense. With Ephesoft Mobile Capture, you simply log into the app, take a picture of a document, and sending it off for classification and extraction. The user reviews the extraction results, makes any minor adjustments, and then sends the information off to processing. Our solution can even tell the user they've scanned the wrong page. For example, they could scan a W-2 for 2015 when you asked for 2014. With our API system integration, the user could be notified immediately that they sent the wrong file. With traditional systems like email or old-fashioned postal service, this notification could take days or even weeks, all of which could slow down or completely invalidate a business transaction. I would now like to share a few examples of customer success stories. In the case of a client doing invoice processing, they were capturing both paper and email invoices. They were typing these documents into the system, and it was taking them 5 days to get them in there. They're using 10 employees to support this process, and those employees were doing manual data entry and creating a number of errors. They were losing invoices, they were missing payments, or missing early payment discounts, and in many cases they were unable to locate the documents. After implementing the Ephesoft solution, the invoices are now scanned and processed on the very same day they're received. They can be accessed by multiple people in different locations at any time of the day. And now they're routing these invoice images for approval and review much quicker than the manual process of moving paper around. And they've reduced their headcount to 4 people processing the same workload with no backlog. This is typical of most of our invoice processing document imaging implementations. As you can imagine, mortgage processing is extremely paper intensive. We have a client who is processing 450 million pages of loan documents a year. They needed to separate out these document types and deliver them to a third party. It was a very intensely manual effort, and they had many delays in the process. With the implementation of Ephesoft, the mortgage files are now scanned and processed the same day they're received. And this is including 250 different types of document. It now creates a PDF file with the documents organized with a table of contents for easy review and indexing. This quick turnaround was able to deliver these mortgage files much quicker, and the process significantly reduced the number of staff to process such a workload. The government is typically very paper intensive, and for the VA and the healthcare treatment records, they had a challenge with lots of documents not meeting proper deadlines. They had documents with 10 parts and 450 different document types for each part. They were using manual separator sheets to organize these documents, and hundreds of people to process this. It was a challenge. With Ephesoft, 95% of those records are now processed on time. They're processing over 400 records per day, exceeding the image processing time the first year. They don't use separator sheets, and they get 100% validation of the documents. And they've now reduced that department to a much smaller processing center with only 20 employees. These are just a few examples of the Ephesoft Smart Capture success stories. So you may be asking, is that document process automation solution right for my organization? Take a look at the graph, and if you fall into one of these categories, then our solution is probably right for you. If you don't see your business or process on this list, consider this. If you see a lot of paper in your organization, if you have filing cabinets everywhere, or if you spend a ton of time and money on shipping and manual data entry, then our solution is probably a great idea to consider. I would now like to give a short demonstration of the solution in action. Keep in mind, most of the document processing flow runs in the background. The only human interaction is sending the documents to the system and then validating the results. Once the documents are sent to the system, our solution runs dozens of algorithms to identify the documents and extract the data. Once this processing is complete, your operators are notified of any files that need review. Our interface is easy to understand and will run in any browser. There's no software to install on the user's desktop, so it's easy to deploy. Here you can see the Ephesoft validation interface. All the documents have gone through processing and now is presented to the operator to add just a one missing invoice number from this document because there's a blur on the document. The user can see the field. They go ahead and type in the invoice number. As you can see, the user was prompted what index to complete, and it tells them why it couldn't extract the information. The user simply types in the invoice number and hits validate to process to the next document. Here you can see we're missing the subtotal and amount. You simply click on the field and enter the data. No typing is required. These fields weren't found because the document didn't notify the software what the subtotal or amount was. Our last document to approve is just going for review. It did a database lookup to find the validation number, vendor ID, and vendor name. This was done with a fuzzy database lookup. It queried national from a database and found National Tooling Exchange and automatically filled in these fields. Our fuzzy search can work on any field in the document, so the document operator could actually look up ACE from the address and look up ACE in a database and find that vendor information. This fuzzy database is useful for not only finding fields, but finding data that doesn't exist in the document. For example, the vendor number, vendor ID number, was not on the document. Once these fields are completed, the user goes ahead and hits the validation screen to proceed to the next document. We can also see from the table view that data was extracted from the line items from the invoice line item area of the document. This table view contains tons of fields, and you can imagine all the data entry required to enter this information and the potential for errors. That's all that's required for validation and completion of this batch, and now we can go ahead and complete the operation of validation and review. In our previous demonstration, you saw the Ephesoft interface, but the process can even be interfaced by your familiar line of business solution. We'll next show documents dropped off into a SharePoint repository. Here the files will be identified, indexed, and reviewed with only a short time leaving the line of business system to check and adjust a single field. Here we're looking at an invoice library inside SharePoint, and we can see there's one invoice already indexed and completed. We're going to go ahead and add a few more documents by simply going to our file system and dragging in a PDF and a couple of TIFF files. We'll drop this into the library, and our system notifies us that these documents are now in process. What's going on in the background is these documents have been sent by workflow over to Ephesoft for classification and extraction. In just a few seconds, if we refresh this list, we'll see that we've got a couple of documents completed with their invoice values completed into the system. Now one document is still in process. What we're going to see is it needs to be validated. So if we go ahead and click on our list for invoices ready for validation, we'll see we have one document waiting to be approved or validated. By simply clicking on the link to Ephesoft, we'll go ahead and launch the Ephesoft viewer for validation and complete that index from that same invoice where we're having a problem with before with the blurred invoice number. The user once again completes the invoice number, hits validate, the document is returned back into SharePoint, and we'll see an update to the list showing that invoice number, invoice total, date, vendor name has been completed and has been approved. That completes the demonstration of how integration works with the line of business system, and as you can see, there's very little interfacing by the user and very little training to become a validation operator or a data entry operator with a few fields that aren't extracted automatically. Let's summarize what we've discussed, and I'll share some of the key values of Ephesoft to distinguish us from the crowd. As you can see, we run on Windows and Linux, both on-premise and in the cloud. It's a thin client deployment, which means you don't have to deploy software to the client workstations. Our APIs are fully integrated into the line of business applications. We don't charge you per page. There's no annoying click charges or unbundled add-on features to worry about. And we keep leading the edge in technology, inventing new products and new features to enhance our product suite, including mobile capture and data analytics. As we've discussed, the software learns from experience. It validates it faster than any employee. It's easy to administer with no IT-intensive setup or maintenance. Works in all your browsers like Chrome, Explorer, Safari, or Firefox. You can enhance your existing investments. Ephesoft is open and it's easy to integrate into your line of business systems. And it's simple, flexible licensing. The Ephesoft license model doesn't charge you for clicks, and there's no metering cost to limit your automation. The price is based on your CPU needs, with either subscription or perpetual licenses. You decide. We have found these great benefits too. The production and cost reduction exceed the expectations of most of our clients. Keystrokes are history, and so are human errors for the most part. You're not cutting down trees because you're reducing paper. You eliminate random processing areas. There's unlimited users and unlimited scans, and you can now gain real-time insight and analysis of your information. You can make more informed business decisions with real-time visibility into key performance indicators, metrics, and business analytics. That concludes our presentation and demonstration of Ephesoft. Please contact Ephesoft or your local Ephesoft technology partner for more information. You can also find more information on the internet at our website, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Google+. Thank you.